Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about wrist injuries. From carpal tunnel syndrome to sprains from falls on the field, athletes are susceptible to wrist injuries. Think about it. Linemen, big gigantic men, putting all their weight behind these poor little wrist joints. Soccer players making spectacular plays on the field, landing on one wrist and putting all their weight into that little tiny joint. Tennis players just depend on the power and flexibility in their wrists. So I'm going to give you some things to open up the wrists and keep the forearms a little bit more supple as well. Okay, so what we're going to do first is onto your hands and knees. Level 1 is going to continue this pose on your hands and knees. Okay, and then I'm going to show you later how to go a little bit deeper into the pose, maybe add a little abdominals and a little bit more strength. Okay, and what you're going to do is simply turn your wrist completely in the opposite direction. What you're looking for is 90-degree angles in that wrist joint. You want your shoulder, elbow, wrist in one nice line. You want to look at your hands and make sure there's equal space between each finger so that you're stretching the flexors and extensors in your forearm equally. Okay, so turn it around. Then the same rules apply. 90-degree angle in the wrist, equal space between each finger, and you're just going to hold it there. You're going to let it go, and you're going to try the other side. Same rules apply. Okay, some of you have a lot of flexibility here, and so you need to build a little bit more strength with that flexibility. How do you know if you have too much flexibility? Is that you're able to really turn that elbow joint too much, and you're getting some hyperextension, and that's not good. So you want to neutralize that joint and then go forward into turning it around. Okay? The advanced level is to come into plank pose. So it's the top of a push-up. And again, your wrist is right under your shoulder. It's not out here. It's not way back here. It's right under your shoulder. It's the strongest angle to work with, a 90-degree angle. And then you go ahead and turn the wrist around and hold it. Let it go. Try the other side. Maybe in time you'll get good enough that you can turn both around at the same time. You let it go, and you come down to your knees. You might feel after that you need to rotate the wrists a little bit, open the shoulders. You may even want to do some big shoulder rotations, big shoulder circles before you start any of this. Big wrist circles, even elbow circles before you start, like a Eastern philosophy approach. Okay, the next thing you're going to do is downward facing dog. Probably the most common pose. Everybody's heard of downward facing dog. We're going to work downward facing dog with 3 points of contact as well. Okay, so you're going to come onto your hands and knees again. Hands are shoulder width apart, palms flat, fingers spread. You're going to tuck the toes under and you're going to straighten the legs. Look down at your feet. Feet are hips width apart, parallel. What's more important here is a strong flat back. Not forcing yourself into straight legs because your ego wants to be straight, and then you end up rounding your back. You're doing yourself no good here. You want to have a nice flat back, even if that means you have to bend your knees. Push the floor away with your arms. Try not to crowd your shoulders around your ears. And you're going to start feeling the strength building in your forearms and your wrists. From here, you're going to bring the right leg up to the sky. You're going to hold it here a little bit, pushing the floor away. You will switch sides, several breaths in each pose, both legs down, and you're going to bring the left arm to your low back. So a lot of people do this and then shift into this kind of a thing. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for your hips up to the sky, a down dog pose, holding it there. Push the ground away with that right arm, look down, and switch. And you can repeat that sequence 3, 4, 5 times. Building again. Strength in the forearms, wrists, and elbow joint as well. The next and last one we're going to do for this series is chaturanga into up dog. Okay, don't be scared by the names. It's things you've probably already done by a different name. Coming onto your hands and knees, press back to the top of a push-up. And chaturanga is just lowering it down to a low push-up. Untuck the toes and press into up dog. pound away. Notice 90-degree angle in my wrist joint. I am not here. That's tremendous pressure on my low back. I'm not way out here. That's tremendous pressure on my wrist joint. My shoulders, elbows, wrists in one line. My knees are off the floor. I'm opening up the back, pressing the heart forward. Sometimes you could even drop the head back. But keep opening the chest. Don't sink into the shoulders. You can go back to chaturanga and back into top of the push-up if you want. Do that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Okay? When you're going from top of the push-up, chaturanga, you want to keep your elbows as close to 90 as you can. In the beginning, you might not be there because you're just not strong enough. But in time, you're going to be able to get to a 90-degree angle there. So you're going to start out maybe chaturanga in here, or in time being here. Okay? And that's it for wrists. So you could practice those every day if you need. You're using your own body weight, so you can do this every day. Okay, so now we're going to focus on ankles, maybe sprains or strains, Achilles tendonitis, and plantar fasciitis. And I'm grouping these injuries together. You need a flexible, strong ankle joint. You need flexible, open toes and good balance.